Kalman Kervey and welcome to this video. This one is for people who have hard time finding the reliable sources of information, meaning other colleagues in new workplaces, because sometimes it can be quite challenging and you might end up with the wrong people around you who will just take you down a very wrong path, to be honest. So I thought about compiling a list of the traits that you can rely on finding the actually useful or not so useful people, because I would like to spare you some of the unpleasant situations in which I ended up in the last few decades. Trait number one: when you go into a new workplace and you look around the people, if you see on someone's monitors, like most offices have multiple monitors for people, if both monitors, both displays show only non-work related things, like the person is watching YouTube videos, streaming Twitch videos, watching movies, TV series, video clips, whatever, music videos, whatever like that. So it's basically the whole visible area is covered with something non-work related, and everything work related is completely hidden. That person, which I like to call the entertainment center operators, are just really trying to distract themselves from work with every possible opportunity. Some of them will be in quite the extreme, like watching 3 or 4 programs or shows at the same time. I don't know how they process it, but they still do, and it's quite ridiculous. Now, these people usually don't watch for incoming emails. They don't care about chat notifications. They in regular don't want anything to do with work. Now, the problem is that because of their lack of attention to work, they end up falling out of practice. They don't develop useful routines. They don't gain experience, and because of that, their information is most of the time not up to date, even if they have any information, because most of the time, since they are not using their base knowledge for work, they keep forgetting things, and their overall, so to say, usefulness for the company is decreasing. So usually it's not really something worth bothering with, asking these people questions, especially highly technical work-related questions, because they will be really annoyed usually, and most of the time they won't know the answer. Surprisingly, quite a large number of them are really sure that they are very reliable and very useful employees, and they are very clever. They are not, to be honest. They tend up to, even if they don't know something for certain, they will just give you an answer just to appear knowledgeable, and that can be an unpleasant situation later on. So if you see some of these entertainment center operators, just don't bother. It's not worth anyone's time to hope for any useful information from them. Apart from lack of reliable information, there's another problem with these people. They are a huge burden on the network of the company. Even if the company itself has a very strong network connection, like really fiber optic, whatever, gigabits and all that, these offices, especially open space offices, have sometimes 100 people in one room. Those 100 people share the same connection going down the building, and these companies have multiple offices. So sometimes in one building, 1,000 people use the same main connection, and if these video watching people are watching 2-3 videos in full HD or 4K at the same time, that's a huge data transfer. That's a huge traffic on the network, which is not work related. And it is highly inconsiderate from them, not because it would cost the company more, but it slows down the work of others, especially in places where you have to use some software to remotely connect to a client's computer, for example, to take control, fix a few things, and give control back. In most of the cases, the connection will be really choppy and unreliable and extremely slow. And so basically the people who need the bandwidth or the good connection the most will have the worst connections, because their data transfer will appear smaller for the rest of the data transfer. So when the system is prioritizing, it will prioritize for the continuous data flow of the full HD videos for the others. So it's really not useful to have these people in the offices. Don't misjudge this whole thing. There are acceptable levels of entertainment in the workplace. Of course, it depends on the company and what kind of regulations they have. But even if a company enables you to have connection to, let's say, YouTube or Twitch or whatever, be moderate. And there are ways to use it, gain information, or get through the boring times during the day, but don't cover everything work related and run full-on movie nights in the workplace. That's really not very useful for anyone. Well, let's continue with trait number 2. This is a kind of weird one. Basically, when you see that someone's chair is turned almost into a bed, that's also a good sign that that person is not especially the top of the tops at the company. That person is usually just there to relax as much as possible. Of course, when a call or an email or any kind of case or objective comes in, they might jump up into a proper position and deal with it. But then they will usually just go back into the almost sleeping position. In some of these cases with these people, they are not necessarily bad, or they are not the worst employees or anything like that, but sometimes they do have sort of a beginning phase of lack of motivation, because they don't care about appearing busy, to say. So when they are just really almost lying down, that doesn't look like you're taking your job seriously. The especially not harmful, but yeah, kind of harmful, but really annoying ones are kind of a subspecies of the almost sleeping people, the actually sleeping people. Now they are a special kind of being. Because sometimes, it happens, just to be fair, it happens that someone is really exhausted and they just fall asleep during work, or they might feel sick, they might be getting ill or so, and so if you see someone sleeping at the job, wake them up. Just be considerate, give them a nudge that, hey guy, you fell asleep, everything okay? If they wake up and say that, oh yes, thank you, sorry, I don't know what happened, that's fine, because they might actually just be tired and they fell asleep. That happens. But if you wake them up and they get annoyed and they get angry at you because you woke them up in the middle of the workplace, in the middle of their work shift, that's kind of weird. You know, you're not supposed to sleep when you're at your workplace and when you're in the middle of your shift. So if someone is angry at you because you woke them up when they were supposed to be working, next time don't wake them up. Usually if a manager finds someone sleeping, they might give them a shot or two, but it will have consequences. And someone who's annoyed because somebody woke them up during their shift, yeah, that person, I would say, deserves to be caught by the manager, because this kind of activity, like deliberately sleeping during work will have a very negative effect on the rest of the colleagues, because they will think that, hey, this guy is sleeping through half the day and he gets the same salary as I do, so why do I worry about how good my job is? So yeah, like really causing some friction between the employees. So in case of the sleepers, they most likely don't, the deliberate sleepers, they most likely don't care about their job at all. They just go in, have a sleep and have a nap and then just go home. Usually they don't stay very long at the company, but during their time they are really, really annoying, and they definitely are not a good source of information, so most likely you shouldn't even bother asking them. Trait number 3. This is also kind of a weird one, and usually it has around 50-50 chance of being a useful or a not so useful person. Basically, when you see that their desk or cubicle decoration is like all covering, usually in these places you have some emergency telephone numbers or other contact details or company provided motivational stuff or whatever. There is always something that has to be visible at all times around the employees. Now, if the cubicle decoration is so dense and all covering that these emergency contact informations and all that is also covered, now that's a very bad sign. That person usually doesn't even know that these things would be important. They don't use them at all. They don't know that they should be available at the moment's notice. And they usually, as I said, in half of the cases, they don't even know how to use these and why they would be important. Most of the time these people have a serious learning problem. They simply don't use any extra sources of information in written form because they use other people to help them. These are usually the people who will keep coming with their questions, and even with the same questions over and over for months and years, and they will simply not learn anything. Now, in this sense, they will be not really useful to get information. When you're stuck with a case, they won't be able to give you a quick answer or provide the most accurate information. But they will definitely know the person who has the correct information. Since they rely completely on the information of other people, they are the first to identify the best sources of information, because they will be asking everyone, and when they find someone who actually gave right answer, they will keep going back to that person, and if they keep getting useful answers, then they will mark that person for them for themselves, that, oh yeah, that guy or that girl always knows the answer. So in this way they are actually useful from time to time. Now, but don't judge them harshly. Usually they are very positivity focused, and they have quite often issues handling negative situations. So let's go to trait number 4. Now we are getting into the more hidden and darker part of his life. Trait number 4 is the trait of people who constantly and exclusively talk negative about the company and the management and overall the whole office. Now, these people almost revel in their negativity spreading activity. They are most of the time just too comfortable to quit. They don't even think about quitting. They say they do, but they just enjoy their dark little corner of the office. And let's be honest, their there are no perfect companies. Every company has positive and negative traits. Every company has good days, bad days, good seasons, bad seasons. Every company has the occasional disturbing or demoralizing manager or middle manager. So there are problems in every company. There is no perfect company. But when someone is exclusively bringing up negative stuff and nothing else, that doesn't balance it out with any positive things, that's already suspicious. And what makes it absolutely certain that you found like a little evil goblin of the office is when they almost immediately start with the negative stuff for new employees. Like, they bring in a new employee, tell them to sit down next to someone to listen in how the job is done, and they almost immediately start infecting that new employee with the negativity and the negative information, and bringing up all the bad stuff, like almost trying to scare away that person. And that is really harmful. And I like to call these people the basically the silent toxic ones, because they are not toxic in the sense of getting constantly confrontational or bullying or harassing people or anything like that, but their negativity is slowly infecting and spreading the people. And if nobody stops this, then it can demoralize the large majority of the workforce. And I've seen how these people were slowly building their community, and the goblin tribe was growing, and it reached points where, like, when a company has the chance to mass lay off people, like getting rid of a large amount of people with no explanation, then usually these people are the first to go, and they will not understand. They will see it as an injustice, and they will just use that as an extra fuel for their hate. And that's also an interesting thing, that even if that's why firing is usually the only cure for these people, because when a company takes some sort of disciplinary action against such a negative goblin, they will use that disciplinary action as proof of the company's tyranny. That, oh, look at this, they reprimanded me for just saying a few things and voicing my opinion and whatever. And no, they were telling you to stop spreading your negativity, because you're demoralizing people and you're not bringing up anything positive. You're just pushing everything down, and basically you're not pushing things down, you're just pulling everything down in your swamp, and that's not good for anybody. But they will turn it around in their head, and they will use it as an explanation that why their negative activity is needed, and that's good because they are actually uncovering the hidden evil in the company. They don't. They are usually not really good at their job, and they are tired of it, or just really had enough, or don't know what other job to take, and they basically satisfy their need for accomplishment with this weird activity. And all in all, you should avoid them if possible. It's difficult to identify them, but you just have to listen what they say and check, are they constantly saying negative stuff? Yeah, maybe you should look for someone else for information. It is quite unpleasant, and it happened with me at a company where I sat down to one of these people, and it took me a few weeks to realize that I've been put in the darkest, meanest, most negative group of people I've ever met. So really quickly, when I realized this, I tried to gravitate to other people who were like more balanced in their views. Now, trait number 5, and this will be the final one for this video, and I've put this in last place because this is the most difficult one to recognize, because it requires a bit of time to see it unfold. And it's the most damaging one. Damaging not just to you, possibly, but to the entire company. Now, this is the type of person who is, first of all, constantly late to work. But not just a few minutes, like they missed the bus or so, but they're like late 20, 30 minutes each and every day. And they don't have any acceptable excuse. So they didn't have like car accident every morning, or they didn't have like train delays or anything like that. They just couldn't get in time. Also, they are usually late with their breaks, or don't keep themselves to the official schedule, making the life of the other colleagues miserable, because nobody knows who can go on break and what goes on, because someone is already in the wrong time frame. They are taking way longer lunches than allowed. Like if you have 45 minutes, they will have 90 minutes. If you have an hour, they will have maybe 2 hours. They will be just gone. And all three is just a trait of a bad employee. But the worst one is the fourth when it comes to it. When they ask you to cover for them. When they ask you to reset their phones or whatever communication device the company uses, when they give you the password to their computer so you can log into their machine and change in the recording system their state and all that, so that for the system it appears like they are back from their lunch or back from their break, but they are actually nowhere to be seen. If anybody asks you to do these things, say no. At the very first occasion, say no. Because if you go into this, if you become complicit, that will start a very, very damaging spiral in your career, and it will basically develop in you very counterproductive way of thinking. And most likely you will be the one caught, because a manager will see you changing the other machines or doing something on a colleague's computer, and you will be caught. The other one will be smiling and be just happy with his long breaks or her long breaks, but you will be caught and you might lose your job. And the problem is, the biggest problem with these type of people, we will have a separate video about boss types. I will go through some of the major, so to say, archetypes of bosses that I've met throughout my work life. Basically, if this type of person, the always late and trying to pull others into his or her shenanigans, is mixed with an overly friendly boss who is desperately trying to avoid any kind of confrontation, so they let almost everything pass. If these two are combined in one team, that can literally break a company in half. And I've seen this, I've watched this from the first row. It's dreadful, and it's really, really disheartening and disillusioning to see when these type of people start to build their little group of tricking the system and basically not working, just getting as much free time as possible without being there. And the actually working people, the working employees, see this. They try to report it to the management, but the management doesn't take any action, because they have these overly friendly bosses who simply do not want any confrontation, and they will just let it pass. Now, this is a time when a company will start losing the best employees. They will start losing the most reliable and most hardest working employees, who will just say, okay, I quit, I can't do this. Like, we are overloaded with work, while these people are just having basically holidays in the middle of the day. So they will quit, and the company will lose the best workforce, they will lose information, they will lose knowledge, they will lose practice, and you will end up with a bunch of slackers who will just not give anything to the company. They will not provide anything, they will not work properly, And that will, if this unfolds fully, that will be one of the hardest times you will ever see at a call center or IT support or any similar environment. So this final fifth type of person is the one you should never ask for help, and you should definitely keep as far away from them as possible, because if they get you and they get your complicity for their trickery, it's not going to end for you, not going to end well for you, and not going to end well for anyone in that company. Okay, so that would be it for this video. I hope it was useful for you. It's a bit scarier sometimes, but yeah, weird things happen at these companies, and if I could help you avoid some of these situations in the future, I'm really glad. So if you like the video, then likes are highly appreciated. If you know someone who would benefit from these videos, then please share the video link with them. I really try to reach as many people as possible to minimize these unpleasant situations out there. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, then please subscribe, and if you wish to support me in other means or other channels, then you can do that via supporting me on Patreon, where I'm sharing early access and exclusive contents. Also, you can buy any of the products with my designs on Redbubble, and a copy or two of the Adventures of the Smallest Astronaut available on all regions of Amazon. All the links will be in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your time. Bye.